William Webb Ellis Trophy is the symbol of rugby supremacy. Only 4 captains have had the honour of lifting this prized piece of silverware and carried their nation to World Cup glory. In 1987, the All Blacks claimed the inaugural Rugby World Cup.
New Zealand's only got to pick it up. Jones!
And skipper David Kirk satisfied his rugby-hungry people. In 1991, it was the Wallabies who snatched the cup.
England in trouble here. It's a try.
And Captain Nick Farr-Jones fulfilled a boyhood dream in front of a shattered English crowd. 1995 saw the return of South Africa from the rugby wilderness.
Stratsky looks for the drop. Yes, it's over.
Francois Pienaar lifted the cup and united a nation. In 1999, the Wallabies became the first side to win 2 World Cups.
Go for the line, man. And he gets there.
John Eales had the honour and was the last man to do so. In 2003, there will be another name added to this illustrious list. Will it be England's Martin Johnson, a colossal leader and the cornerstone of a much-feared England side?
The try's on here for Greenwood.
Or will it be George Gregan, a figure of commitment, style and courage, who will lead his Wallabies to the death?
Whitlock gets the first try.
80 minutes will decide rugby immortality.
Day 44, match 48. The ultimate showdown. England from the Northern Hemisphere taking on defending World Cup champions Australia from the Southern. Inclement weather here in Sydney. It's been raining for the last hour and a half, and before that, the previous 24 hours with a 2-hour break mid-afternoon. The ground's going to be very soft. Both teams are out on the field warming up at the moment, but it's more like English weather as we get to this World Cup final for 2003. Australia having down New Zealand last weekend, and England on the Sunday in the second semi-final in weather conditions very similar to tonight, coming through with a very convincing victory. Here's the Australians arriving a short time ago, and with me in commentary on the touchline, Tim Horan, and up here in the commentary box, Dan Crowley.
Yes, Gordon, it's a big night tonight, and Georgie Gregan has a lot on him. Ben Darwin with the brace there. He delivered the jerseys, presented them to the team. A great work by him to be able to get out of his hospital bed to come and see this game. That's the character of the young man. But tonight, it's number 3 and Al Baxter who has to take his spot to see what this team is all about. He has to anchor this scrum and the back row of Smith, Warren, Lyons to make sure they match it up with the English best. And in the back line, the conditions that are here, will Johnny Wilkinson be able to be nullified by the Australian back line?
And speaking of the England team, Tim Horan, these are conditions they're very familiar with. In fact, the comment's been made that they've had a lot of rain throughout their campaign, which is going to be a big advantage for them tonight.
Well, I think so, Gordon. Over the last 7 weeks, the conditions here in Australia haven't been fantastic. Hasn't been the sunny weather. But the England side, aren't they a strong side? They've been together for a long time now. Look at Thompson, he needs a big game, number 2. Richard Hill, number 6. He's missed a lot of the tournament, came back last week, important for him. But number 10, Johnny Wilkinson, how much pressure has this guy been under in the tournament? How much pressure is he under for this game?
The Australian team going through their paces. Matt Giddo, who's come back onto the bench, and Matt Rogers, who really made a big impact, and Sterling Mortlock, who turned the game with that intercept, Dan. And the Aussie forwards and Big Dell, this is the match they've been waiting for.
And look at the concentration on the eyes of that man there, Eddie Jones. He knows he has it all before him, but for him, it's now the destiny in the hands of the 15 of his players. He's done all he can.
There we see Johnny Wilkinson practicing with his kicking coach, and also Mike Catt.
Light rain still falling. And Andre Watson in charge of his second World Cup final from South Africa.
Tails, mate.
Talk about David and Goliath. It's George Gregan and Martin Johnson.
David's right, mate. That's correct. That's good. Okay. Cheers, mate. Have a good one. Cheers, mate. Have a good one. Yes, Jonathan.
So early evening now here in Sydney at the Olympic Stadium, and the track and field arena, the warm-up arena, also the lights on there. But continuing showers, temperature 18 degrees and 64 in the old Fahrenheit. Both sides have been out on the field warming up, and certainly that part of the stand dominated by gold. But there are liberal splashings of England support here, and we know how vocal they're going to be tonight as well.
Well, look at the faces on this crowd. You mentioned before that there's probably a 60-40 split, but what the Australians have learned from when the British Lions were here not too long ago is they were taught by this English crowd on how to cheer, and it's going to be up in the terraces where we'll hear the chants coming. The big question is, will the 60% of the Aussies be able to drown out that loud 40% of the English?
And the continuing rain certainly has had no effect on spirits here. This is the moment the whole of Australia has been waiting for, the whole of the rugby world. An estimated audience of 3 billion to watch this live telecast. In Rugby World Cup 2003, the summit clash between England and Australia. The Aussies having won 2 World Cups in 91 and 99 in the Northern Hemisphere, this is their first tilt on home soil. And it was the victory over England 12 years ago. The two best teams in world rugby, these players facing the biggest. The mental rehearsals are now over. It's all down to one shot at glory and what has been the greatest event in the Code's history. It's the Summit Showdown, the final showdown. November 22 at Telstra Stadium in Sydney, the Olympic Stadium. George Gregan and Martin Johnson. Johnson won the toss, Australia to run from left to right. And with me in commentary, Dan Crowley and Tim Horan.
Well, isn't this going to be an epic battle? England versus Australia, the homeland versus the convicts. Who will take the glory prize?
Coach Eddie Jones has backed his winning semi-final lineup. The only change, number 3 Al Baxter replacing injured Ben Darwin. Australia's back row of War, Smith and Lyons concedes 14 years of test experience to their opponents. In the backs, Gregan and Larkham paired for a record 49th time. The fittest and best prepared England team ever. The front row averages 114 kilos or 18 stone. The back 5 forwards have an average age of 31. And in the backs, Dawson and Wilkinson were both in the England side that lost 76-0 to the Aussies at Suncorp back in 1998. How times have changed. So England starting favourite with the bookmakers. And Tim, what's it like down there on the touchline?
Well, Gordon, there's still light rain falling, and I just had a walk on the field about 5 minutes ago, and it is very soft. But watch the passion on these two sides when they sing their national anthem, the most important rugby match they'll ever play. Have a look in their eyes when the camera passes by.
An overseas punter has splashed $250,000 on England to beat Australia tonight, and if successful will win $162,000, the biggest bet in the history of sports betting here in Australia. the man of steel, Captain George Gregan, and emotions flowing over at Telstra Stadium.
Have you ever seen George Gregan sing a national anthem with so much passion before like that?
He is absolutely fired to the max, Tim Horrid, and so is this crowd and so are the rest of the players. They know they're in for a big one. They're going to have to put it up there.
And the reserve benches, Jeremy Paul, Matt Cobain was there in 1999, and so too was Joe Roth. Chris Whittaker hoping to get out there in the closing stages, and Johnny Wilkinson. The eyes of the world on this man.
How much pressure has this man been under this week? He's about the only player that everyone's been speaking about. There's 14 other players out, and I think their number 9, Matt Dawson, will get plenty of room around the rock.
And Elton Flatley, his opposite.
Absolutely opposite. Nothing's been spoken about Elton Flatley, but the most crucial part is, on percentage kicking, he's 2% above in this kicking rate than Wilkinson is. Hopefully it won't come down to that and we'll have a big game.
The Australian Rugby Union organised for radio stations across the country to play Waltzing Matilda just a few hours earlier, and across in England more than 15,000 pubs and 1,000 rugby clubs have applied for special licences to serve alcohol for breakfast. Second World Cup final in a row for Andre Watson from South Africa. And so the Rugby World Cup stage is set for the final time. It's Johnny Wilkinson to begin the final game. And a nice touch from Andre Watson as he said, guys, enjoy the game. The next 80 minutes to decide the best team in the world. And Stephen Larkham again shifting the ball wide, and a big clearing kick from Elton Flatley. Robinson slipping over. Good pressure from the Australians on halfway.
Great work. That's good pressure from the kick. They're going to need to put that in all day.
Lawrence Delalio, and out wide, 2 front rowers there. They needed a quick man, and Wilkinson has to just tow it over the touchline. It was Woodman and also Vickery with that long ball. They just didn't have the speed of foot.
And that shows you how slippery the conditions are out there on the field. I had a walk out there about 5 minutes ago. It was very soft. There's been a lot of rain falling in the last hour or so, and both teams will be looking to play down in the opposition territory.
Justin Harrison at the front. Quickly cleared to Flatley and Larkham. This is Mortlock. Australia, despite these treacherous conditions, shifting the ball to the width of the field. Here's George Smith getting through the first tackle of Will Greenwood. And Australia asking big questions early on. Larkham, Flatley, Mortlock, stunned there by Delalio, 35 metres out. Slow ball for the Australians. Larkham and Rogers through. Takiri couldn't hold on. It wasn't a good pass in these slippery conditions.